we're talking about the Apsara Reactor, which was featured in the first season of Rocket Boys, and one of the most difficult setups that we had in the show.
This is the main control panel on deck, but actually the magic is happening in that room. Pool is about 8 meters deep. Do you see the core grid there at the center? This way, bye. Will you do the honors?
We had very little reference material for it. Mainly, we had a very grainy video from Films Division.
The early research facilities at BRC included Apsara, India's first research reactor built in 1956.
Where it was very difficult to understand the functioning of the reactor, and for which we had like these 16-page PDFs which we had to read through, understand the scientific language of how things work, what are pistons, what a reactor, the functions of a reactor, all of it, which kind of helped us put together a basic initial design. The part that we were shooting was the upper trolley of the reactor. And that was pretty challenging. I think it would have been easier just to make the water tank of it, which was pretty much straight line structure. With a lot of intensive research, we spoke to a lot of scientists who have worked with or after Baba at BARC, who kind of helped us with inputs in the designs that I was showing them. Understanding the scale of it was pretty challenging for us initially, but then we ended up finding a picture with a human to scale, and then we gauged the scale of the entire reactor. Basis that we made miniatures. So, it took us a couple of attempts to kind of get to the right scale and dimension of the reactor. And then came the biggest challenge was working off the trolley. The functionality of it, and then designing it, executing it as per the director's requirement has been pretty challenging, but it's been very creatively satisfying as well. VFX did play an important part in this, creating the body. So we created the top 30%, 35% of it, and the entire base was created by the VFX team. Interestingly, we had connected it to the control room the way it is in reality. That way it was easier for us to kind of link the two, the control room with the reactor room. It was a minimal setup. It was first of its kind. It wasn't cluttered with multiple consoles and multiple tables. It had enough room for the camera work to go around. So we had some references, but to understand the role of every toggle, every switch, every meter that we're seeing, first we had to understand what was the role for that particular thing. There's some measurement being taken, there's some meter reading that's been happening. The function of each switch on the console, even for the actors to act and to play around with, was quite challenging because we had to, like I said, we had to learn science first before we build the set. So with a little help from, again, consulting a few scientists and generally watching a lot of documentaries, Chernobyl is a show that I watched multiple times to understand, just movement of switches and functions of all that was there on the consoles. Close-ups of the meter readings that were there, the kind of panels that were there on the wall. So I think those were also the liberties that we took, a little bit of liberties, because both Apsara, Cirrus, we didn't really get close-up shots to understand the detail, what's written, what goes into, what is that particular machine used for. So that's where we took a little we were influenced by Chernobyl, and we took a little referencing from there.
And the Cherenkov glow that Homi Bhabha talks about, there is a scene where they hit the 1 megawatt. They finally reach it. How did you make the entire thing blue? Was it through the water that you had filled up in the reactor?
It was also the color of the walls. When that would lit up, the base color of the wall. So when there's no light, it looks different. But when it's lit, it looks different. And also there was a little bit of VFX to it. This set was more challenging because we had to elevate the entire set to 10, 12 feet
I remember.
high. So anything that you make on ground is way more easier to do than uplifting it. I think there were 5 tankers of water required to test whether there's a leakage in the tank. So we did that, I think, twice before the shoot.
Wow.
And that kind of took one entire day to like fill water and then remove the water out of the tank.
And how long did the set take to be made?
It took almost 16 days.
Wow.
For us to create that. Yes, so for the control room, there's a very interesting thing that happened. Most of the references that we have were black and white, so we couldn't really gauge the color of the setups at that time. And then we had a color image for the same setup, which was bright green. And we ended up using that on the actual set. And after the show was released, I sent it across to one of the scientists who was part of Apsara while it was being made. And he said, as far as I remember, I don't think it was green. It was a very pale grey or a bluish grey color. And I said, I showed him the image and I said, Uncle, we've just followed this. And he said, no, this. I think this is done much later when we progressed to bigger reactors. That's when they kind of converted and repainted these. This is a much recent image. So I think that was one thing that we missed out on. But nonetheless, it looked nice on camera.
It looked very nice.
Okay.